Hello! We have the moon in Gemini for the next couple days. I think the most obvious challenge with this, with all of this Virgo energy, Sun, Mars, and Mercury, as well as the moon in Gemini, is to make sure that we're not overthinking. There are great things about this, as always. We'll get to that in just a moment. But this is one of the most challenging times all year to make sure that we're not overthinking, overanalyzing, picking stuff apart with our minds. And I think especially with the moon in Gemini, potentially really getting out of touch with our emotions, getting out of touch with our physical body. So this is an excellent time to exercise, to meditate, to really get rooted. And I think the beautiful thing about all this energy, two different things, is the ability to conversate and to work through things through communication is a very powerful gift for the next couple of days. We have a nice grand trine with Saturn and Jupiter and Venus in Libra, and we've been talking about that over the last week and a half or so, and how great that is as per building our relationships and really building for the long term, being able to spend a lot of good quality time together, to discuss ideas and ideals, and to have a nice breath of fresh air when it comes to communications with your loved ones, and to be able to clear things up. I mean, obviously there's a spectrum with every experience, so that's more the super positive. But even in the more challenging, there's still a nice flow of being able to, for people to generally make room for each other and to communicate, especially in relationships that are going to go the long run, or are certainly going that direction already. So the moon is helping with this beautifully, even though there's a lot of tension with the moon squaring the sun, especially over the next day. But also for tomorrow as well, when it's squaring Mars. And then Mercury is right about to go into Libra. We'll talk about that more as time goes on. But for the first day, I think it's going to be the more challenge. I don't know. It depends on how you look at it, and it also depends on people's charts. But Mercury will go into Libra, so that adds a little bit more air energy to the situation. It'll still be on the cusp with that Virgo, though. So I think for the next 2 days, as long as we're just communicating and we're seeking to get on the same page with people, then that'll help us. Even if we can't get on the same page with people, the act of trying will help us to see where other people are as per the relationship, if they are willing to communicate. And if not, what does that mean as per, okay, well, what is my next step? You know, it's like chess. It's like, okay, I go here, where will you go? And I think that's a key thing here. But again, I think overall we have so much energy in our favor that as long as we're not overthinking, and as long as we don't need some kind of like major transformation, then we're going to be able to have some really amazing conversations with those around us, to get on the same page and to build for the long term. Again, with Jupiter and Saturn and Aquarius here, we have a lot of long-term vision, long-term structure that we're building. And it's not like the last couple years have been with Saturn and Capricorn, where the building is more definite and concrete and manifest. And, you know, it's like, I'm building this skill, I'm building this thing, whatever it might be. It's more, again, ideas and ideals. It's the air realm. So being able to build this together with other people is a beautiful thing over the next several weeks, even over the course of this year, but especially with the Venus and Libra trine over the next couple weeks, and then with the moon in Gemini over the next couple days especially. I think one of the most powerful things, going back to the communicating with others theme here, one of the best things for the next couple days, and I think if you're overthinking things, the source of that anxiety is going to be, oh, I need to figure something out. And that's okay. When we're seeking to not overthink, that doesn't mean that we're seeking to not think at all, you know, especially with times like these. I mean, we have a Mercury ruled transit, sun season, sun in Virgo. We have Mars in Virgo. Mercury, the astronomical body related to our thoughts as well as our communication, is in Virgo. We'll still have Virgo cusp influence for the next several days. And then we have the moon in Gemini, the other astronomical, or the astrological energy ruled by Mercury. So we're gonna think, you know, and in general, human beings, we think. The key is not to try and ever deny who we are, whatever influence it might be, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Moon, whatever it might be. The key is just to seek as the Buddha says, the middle path. Okay, I'm thinking too much, oh, I'm not thinking enough, right? And in this season, we're all more over here on the spectrum, like, oh, I'm thinking too much. So we do want to focus on whatever it is that is bothering us. We can't run from it. We can't pretend it doesn't exist. I think especially with the moon in Gemini and all this air energy, some people might try and run away from the what they're really needing to think about and what they find themselves maybe overthinking by, again, going in the opposite direction and just trying to enjoy oneself. That can be a bit of the challenge of air energy in general, is trying to run away from reality, getting caught up in the mind, getting caught up with the Venus and Libra influence in our relationships. Oh, let's just have fun. I don't need to think about this. I just need to have fun. Middle path. We do want to focus on what we need to focus on. And I think especially with all this Virgo and the moon in Gemini and with that grand trine in air, the opportunity to make major breakthroughs through communicating with others, especially those, again, that you have these long-term connections with, that you feel really a really strong connection with. And I think a lot of people are going to be experiencing this, especially romantically, because Venus in Libra is very focused on the one-on-one aspect. And of course that applies to every relationship in our life, but as Venus in Libra, it's super romantic. It likes that you and me partners, that thing, the romantic love aspect. So if you are hitting a wall and you need help, talk to somebody close to you. And I think that you're going to be able to find really good answers for those questions during the next couple of days. As always, I'm doing readings infinite love. Oh, I forgot one thing. One thing. I think something that's very exciting is, with this last solar season with the sun in Leo that we were experiencing just about until a week ago, almost exactly a week ago. For those 30 days up until a week ago, we were experiencing a lot of tension. We covered that in those transit videos, where the sun was opposite Saturn. In particular, it was square Uranus and Taurus, and then we had moon in Scorpio. That was only for a couple of days, but we had a grand cross happen, and that's quite challenging. For that whole solar season, we were, in some respect or another, and let's not generalize, the other stuff might have been, of course, there's a lot of stuff going on at once, but in a certain way, we were feeling a sense of pressure, Saturn, opposite Sun, a sense of limitation. How am I going to grow? What do I need to build, etc. And then it was square Uranus and Taurus, so it was like some kind of instability or some kind of uncertainty was there. Now, there are great manifestations of these things. Sometimes the uncertainty can be, all of this can be, there's a spectrum with everything. But whatever it is that we experience, I think something that's really cool about where we are right now, we're in the next step after that step. Every transit is like a step. It's like a chapter in the story and the journey. We're now in a time where the pressure isn't so great. Transiting Sun opposite Saturn, transiting Saturn is a lot of pressure, and it's okay. It's good, but it's nice that pressure is alleviated, and now we can move forward. And I think especially with the trine of Uranus and Taurus and all this Virgo energy, the ability to transform yourself in very practical ways. With that Sun in Leo transit, that's a very emotional transit, and that's, again, good and bad, pros and cons, right? It wasn't very conducive. There was breakthroughs in certain ways. We learned more about ourselves. We learned more about the collective. That was a big thing we were talking about, because Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius is all about the collective of humanity. And so with the Sun in Leo, we were learning more about our individual selves in relation to humanity, how to transform, how to grow, what we need to do, etc. Now we're in the time period of actually doing that transforming in many ways and in evolving. And it's very smooth, with the Sun in Virgo, all this Virgo, but especially the Sun in Virgo trine the Uranus and Taurus. Excuse me. We're evolving day by day in very practical ways. We're being able to work with that Uranus energy very well. And so that instability and insecurity is still there. And we're experiencing this on a collective level too. I think we see this politically, economically, socially. But for us as individuals, what we can actually control and guide effectively, the key is to just keep going forward practically in manifesting the changes, in manifesting your next evolution, like Pokemon, to get to that next step for yourself. For me, just to offer it as a parallel, maybe it can help you in your life. For me, I've experienced a major breakthrough actually on the full moon that we just experienced. So the last day of Sun in Leo with the influence of all this Virgo cusp influence for the sun, as well as, of course, Mercury and Mars, was I finally realized, like I said in the previous video, of what the major book project I needed to focus on was. I thought it was this. I was really soldiering ahead with it, but I kept hitting a wall. It wasn't feeling right. It wasn't falling into place. And I realized I need to work on this project first. I need to make a small, condensed, like, essence of what I've learned, like wisdom and insights wise, psychologically, spiritually, from studying astrology for the past decade. And then I can get into astrological natal chart placement. So it's like, it's all like aligned, you know. It's not so much I was like focused on the wrong things, you know. Different people have different experiences. Some people need a complete 180. But it was more like, no, we need to put this here and then this, which I was already thinking of doing, here. Oh, and now everything's aligned and everything's clicking, and now it's just a matter of time. I have my work cut out for me. I feel great about it, you know. Same with videos too. It's like, oh, I can just make 1 minute TikTok and Instagram videos of all of the different astrological chart placements, which I did years ago on YouTube, and which I've learned so much about. Cool. And also MBTI types, you know. So I think that this season is really, it's not necessarily, I mean, yeah, for sure we can have brand new ideas. I think a lot of that was more the last season, but it's never too late. It's never too late to have brand new ideas. But the ability to organize them effectively and align them so that we're working pragmatically and practically with time and the resources available to us, this is such a great gift, and we're able to really get everything in its right place, and we can figure out the details, and it's incredible. So yeah, I think that's the great gift here, is evolve by practical means, step by step, figure out your game plan, and then just execute it step by step. One last thing, just a quick reminder, I know we talked about this in the last video, but with Mars opposite Neptune, transiting Mars opposite transiting Neptune, we really need to be conscious of our anger. We really need to make sure that we're not coming from an unconscious place. If we're being upset by A, don't take it out on person B, you know, or situation A, situation B. We want to also not get into self-destructive behaviors, unconscious undoing, excuses of, oh, this didn't succeed because of the, you know, it can play out in a lot of different ways. But essentially, I think a lot of people are noticing their unconscious, or maybe aren't, but their unconscious is very able to play out in ways that are not good for us. So really be mindful of, what am I seeking to do? And don't give in to apathy, don't give in to helplessness. I know it can be quite challenging with these transits. Feeling like, oh, I'm not making any progress, but that's an illusion. We really need to be mindful of the illusions that our unconscious put up to our conscious to scare us, to whatever, you know. It's not necessarily like to get to consciously, we don't want to do this, you know? Consciously we don't want to hurt, but we need to be very mindful, and that's just the key. It's just awareness. That's it. It's just being aware, like, okay, is this really helping me to move forward, or am I distracting myself? Am I putting myself down? And if so, how do I work through this to be able to move forward? So it can be easier said than done. Of course, I think a key thing is talking through, especially over the next couple of days, like talking through and just seeking to figure out what's going on an unconscious level, where it's coming from as per childhood too. And you know, that's what I'm here for. Or plenty of other people out there in the world who like to help people with these things. So, but yeah, as long as you're just aware of that, I think that's the most important thing. And then practicing that awareness, as always. That's what astrology is, or any psychological tool of self-reflection. Infinite love to you, my friends. Namaste. Peace. As always, I'm doing readings in the About section.